Looks like you can see and hear me just fine. Welcome to Fridays at 4, the latest show here on twitch.tv/DDO stream, except I guess there's that other show that's newer. And they're tomorrow night at 9 p.m. There's also
It's
one
the
tonight.
same week, though. I mean,
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
only newer by virtue of picking a different day.
Yeah, that's right. I thought of it last. They thought of it first, and I just sort of got it out a little earlier by a couple hours. Anyway, with me today, let me start off by saying Fridays at 4 is a casual hangout, a good time, and a place where we're going to be putting future segments like, say, character building segments, maybe some permadeath, some sort of kind of a grab bag of different sort of systems, instructions, walkthroughs, videos, tutorials, interviews, that kind of thing. So keeping it a little bit fast and loose here on Friday afternoons, which seems like the perfect time to just sort of wing it. I am DDO Community Manager Cordovan, and thank you very much for watching. You can find our entire calendar on twitch.tv/DDO stream. Fridays at 4 takes place every Friday at 4, and we'd love to see you in chat. Feel free to ask us anything. If we can answer it, we will. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our Twitch channel as well. Besides helping us out a whole bunch, it gives you an email notification for when we go live with shows like this one and our other shows. Also wanted to talk a little bit in just a bit about our upgraded YouTube page. But before I get to that, let me do an introduction. With me is no stranger to live streaming and dying on... Well, actually, you don't die that often on the air.
So usually try to avoid it.
Yeah, you try to avoid it.
Particularly since the most of the playing streaming I'm doing is permadeath, so...
Well, see, that's what I was kind of hinting at, is that you've died a few times in recent weeks.
Only once.
Anyway, with us is Patrick from DDOcast.
Hey,
DDOcast is also your Twitch stream, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And you can find the show live on Google Plus and that as usual. You can find all the links to that. Just go into DDOcast.com. So you've basically just let me know that you had a Friday afternoon open and weren't really doing too much, so wondered if I'd be interested in having you on the show. And the answer to that is, of course. One of the things I wanted to do today... well, first off, I should say we're on Kyber, and I'm using a level 23 character because I just happen to have one that could use that. And we're going to try running some, I think, Menace of the Underdark stuff on Epic Elite. We're going to start with Beyond the Rift, and we're going to be taking a suggestion from the forums, which is, hey, can you bring out some Hirelings on your next stream? And I think the intention is to sort of make fun of them. But I figured it would also be a good chance to actually talk a little bit about Hirelings, how they work, how you can maybe get the best use out of them, and to know a little bit about what to expect when you're doing various options. Now, it should be noted that Hirelings are always a work in progress here. You know, artificial intelligence for things like DDO is something we generally are always working on. And we've done some Hireling changes recently. Some improvements and a few things that are a little different, and a few things, frankly, we probably still have to do a little work on. But we're making progress, and I wanted to show off some of what we have been doing with Hirelings lately, and maybe just kind of answer some questions, which is part of the reason I wanted to have you here, because I wanted to have someone who could just sort of say, hey, what's up with this, or why is this Hireling doing this, or hey, did you see the Hireling doing this, while we're in the middle of things. So it's good to have a second set of eyeballs on that. Otherwise, Patrick, what's going on with you? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. We're DDO Splat's going pretty strong. I added kind of a second feature to that of Makar DDO's challenge, 10-week challenge. So I've been posting. Well, I posted the first one that I did. Yep. I did the third one, but I haven't finished the second one yet, so I'm a little out of order right now. And then DDO Cast will be on tomorrow. This week we're going to be on Twitch Live, cool. Just to make it a little easier, and because most of us aren't going to be using video anyways, so Hangouts doesn't really have much benefit for that. But we'll be doing a debate episode. We'll have the long-shottest blogger nice. In. We'll have Even Note in. I will also be debating. And Lord of Blades help us. Lessa is going to be moderating.
Oh wow! Hey, that could be a really great show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good
So it'll
good
be
cast. Longshot, he's very good at analysis and stuff, and the rest of the crew is great, really too. So it's a good audience there.
yeah. And
All
we have
right,
a kind of a grab bag of questions to do. So
all right. First, I'm going to bring out a couple hirelings here, which I thought I purchased from the DDO store, but I guess I didn't yet. Guess I should do that. I
makes
hate
it easier
this
to pull
because
them out.
then all of a sudden everyone sees my turbine point total, which is somewhat deceptive. Yes, it's very high, but it is also generally falls on me to just be like, hey, can you just see if this works? You know? So I'm often just like spending money just to check things on the live servers, which is why I have that.
You're also an employee, so
Well, yeah, and I've been playing a long time too. Yeah, I think we have room for one more here, right? Yeah, we have room for one more, so I'm going to invite Uurlock, who wants in as well.
oh goody.
All right, so before we get started here, and I know we can just sort of let this animation play a bit, but I wanted to show off a few different things about the Hireling. For the first off, if you right-click on the thing, besides dismissing or having them leave your party in that, or leaving the party that they're in, you can do this customize orders, wait for traps. That's generally keeps them back a little bit so that you can take care of traps when they're not following so close behind you. This is particularly useful if you're a rogue and you've got to be on the other side of a trap to undo it. And your hireling wants to follow along and be like, fire? What's wrong with fire? So that's what that's about. Resurrect during combat is exactly that. You can have them set to try to resurrect or not during combat. And then offensive and defensive capabilities. Like, for example, I don't want Luna to be using her Wand of Nimbus of Light in an Epic Elite quest at level 23, so I'm going to shut that off. Frankly, you could shut off attack altogether if you really want to. True Reincarnation, keep the wand there, and for defensive, I'm going to also get rid of attack. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing is these options here. The first one we're going to talk a little bit about later. This is called Stand Your Ground, and it allows you to sort of set a toggle where the hireling is like, don't just stay here and fight. The swords are fight, the shields are defend, and the sort of meditation guy, the guy sitting in the lotus pose, is basically don't do anything unless I tell you to. And then, of course, you can set the various, activate things like you want to. So we quick take a look at our fighter here at the Customize AI. They're pretty simple, just wait for traps, attack, and attack because they're a fighter, and that's what they do best. So.
Did you mention the interact feature?
Yeah, this shield here, when there's something you can interact with, well, one, you can order it to guard a target. So, like, if there's nothing to interact with, I can actually say target you, Melchizedek.
Yeah,
And,
if you catch up.
yeah, and then has a guard this person. But the other thing is if you're, say, want them to open a door or, things like that, you can target something and it'll turn into, like, gears. And you just press that gear, and then you can get them to go.
It kind of defaults more to a gear, and if you find something that you can guard or something like that, then it actually will change into the shield.
Yeah. All right, so, let's see. Titan says there is under a tornado watch that he lives, so I'll hope you do all right there. Muller asks, what server and level are we running? Kyber and around level 23. And Muller also asks regarding the current store coupon codes, because we have a determine your discount that I can talk about in just a second. Can you apply them to items that are already on sale? The answer is yes. You apply that coupon to your entire cart. So whatever your card has in it, provided you meet the threshold to apply that coupon, then you can just go ahead and do that. All right, so in this particular battle here, I'm just going to let the kobold sort of act, or the hirelings sort of act on their own, and I'm not going to really do anything. And then in a different scenario here, I'm going to maybe better explain stand your ground and that kind of thing. But for now, just not really going to.
I've got mine set to attack, as opposed to the defensive.
I'm actually not getting much sound here either on my game client. I may have to take a look at that. Just a second. Once this fight's done, figure out what's going on. Oh, Panther's first to go. Although, to be fair, that Panther is level 17, so I'm not.
He's
Perhaps
20.
bring in a 20?
Yeah, he was set to attack though, so
Oh, okay. Luna didn't survive either.
you'll find that they're not exactly the most survivable of party members.
No, particularly on Epic Elite, if you just sort of let them do their own thing. And that's part of what I'm here today, though, to show you, is that there are things you can do a little bit to make them sort of do what you want a little better. We'll try to avoid this in the future. Alright, so this will be a good place as any, and we'll try to show this during combat, but I'm going to set Luna and the fighter to stand your ground. So what that means is that stay here and defend this area, ultimately. So long as you are within what in-game is approximately 30 feet, they will come to you. They'll defend, they'll teleport to you, they'll heal if they have to, they'll do what they need to do, but if you're outside of that 30-foot range, then they will basically just sit there.
Theoretically.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be, and like I say, we'll see here. So right now, if you look on the map, it's not exact, but it's about an inch or so on the in-game map. It's about 30 feet, so...
Wait, let me get out my ruler.
If you think about... I'm guessing here, I don't know. But if we basically go to this next battle, you'll see these guys are not going to... Fingers crossed, you guys are not going to run to me, they're not going to heal me, and they're just going to sit there.
It should be noted, too, that they'll still obey their attack, defend, or passive UI, even if they're still standing on the ground. It's a slightly separate feature.
Yeah. And you'll see that's exactly what they're doing. They're not coming to us because we're too far away. But if, for example, this battle took place, a little bit closer, or, for example, I suppose we could try to bring a mob over to them and see them, kick into action, so to speak. Now, the only sort of caveat I'd have on this is they do tend to be a little sketchy on verticality. So, for example, if you are... And actually, let's see if we can just drag this guy over, huh? I think if he's going to leash or not. Bring one of these stretches back. There is some verticality, right? That Hirelings just sometimes I'm getting a little confused about. So that means that if you are... I don't know, maybe running a challenge. I'm thinking like the door challenge. Hey, why don't you bring your Panther over to you? You'll find that sometimes they'll port over to you vertically in ways that they might not do if it's horizontal. And they will also make an effort to come to you if they see that you are within a 30-foot range, but they need to leave that 30-foot range in order to get to you, like, say, go up a staircase or something. You'll sometimes see them actually sort of go out of that area to get to you, but you should be within their stand-your-ground range if it's going to happen. So hopefully what we'll see here is if we can bring a Dretch over to this gateway. About the time we get to the gateway, these guys are going to start coming over and doing their work.
And there's Luna.
Yep.
Well, at least Luna came.
Now, I'd actually like to plant Luna a little farther away than she is, but there's only so much you can do about that. For example, if I really just wanted Luna to heal, one thing you can do is I could actually say, come over here. Alright, now you stand and you don't do anything until I tell you to. And so then we could be fighting over here, for example, where they're not going to be getting the AoE effect. I'll just have myself targeted and just pop the heal, or whatever it is that I need them to do periodically. And I'm going to take them off stand your ground just so that they can come to us for the next section. One thing that I think is important to note about Hirelings as well is that we do our best to sort of program them to try to be as intelligent as possible, but there are a lot of variables in DDO and a lot of different play styles. And I don't think the intention is that they're going to just sort of solo their way through an Epic Elite quest without any action on your part. So if, you're going to have to babysit them a little bit in those scenarios, particularly in difficult situations, more challenging content, places which perhaps have more unusual geography or traps, things like that. That's not necessarily, unexpected that you might have to do a little bit of work to keep them alive.
They are not equivalent to another person.
Yes. But they do help out. I mean, I think you'll, if I were just to set, what I'm going to do here, I will do this. I'm going to set our fighter, CDL, to attack, which basically means be like the guy who's not talking to you in voice chats, running down the hallway and then killing stuff. We'll see how well that goes.
You're talking about geography earlier, and
Actually,
one of the
he
things
is stuck as well. Yeah, that's a good point.
one of the things you can run into is particularly the owl bears. I find that they can't go through certain doors. You have to summon, you have to call them to you to get them through little doorways.
Right, that's true. And some of that is just sort of the way these quests are sort of made, right? Because you've got areas where it's like we don't want a hireling to go through here, so you set it to don't go through here unless someone wants you to, and that sometimes will translate into the behavior that you just described. But ultimately, we have basically a quick port to me option, and that is what those footsteps are. It's like, I don't care what you're doing, I don't know what you're doing, but get the heck over here. And that's really what their purpose is. You'll often find you'll need to do that, particularly when you do the kind of behavior we're doing right now, where you're jumping off ledges, maybe taking a few shortcuts, going across sort of land blocks, things like that.
This is actually really terrible terrain for hirelings.
Yeah, it is. But that's part of the reason I'm doing it, is to kind of show. I mean, I think actually, if we get that far, impossible demands will be worse. But we'll see. So if you got any questions about hirelings in the chat room, I'd love to sort of get your thoughts as to what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, sort of what your questions are. Are hirelings perfect? No. But I think, we've made changes to them consistently over the years where they are in a, depending on who you ask, I guess, probably better state than they've been in a while. I know there are still some folks who believe strongly that more work needs to be done, and they're probably not wrong. But I did want to kind of show off, counter some of the claims that maybe, well, if you go to the forums or whatever, right? Hirelings they're useless right now. And part of what I'm doing here today is to kind of explain a little bit, well, how do you use them? What kind of behaviors can you expect from them, that kind of thing. So
I think a lot of players have a bit of a what I'd call it gap in what they expect and what the hirelings are set up to do, right? Like a lot of players expect, if they grab a random pug, then that's gonna be someone that's going to be pretty highly geared. They're going to have decent equipment, some good PRR and whatnot. And a hireling doesn't really they don't replace them, right? Which I think a lot of people expect them to do.
Right.
Which is good from a certain standpoint, right? Because it's better if it's supposed to be a social game, so you kind of want. Rather have people playing with other people than, or at least I would rather have people playing with other people than hirelings. Which way did you go?
Just kind of over on the side, fighting some dretches. Like I say, I mean, I don't think anyone at any point would sort of make the claim that hirelings are perfect and don't need any work. It's like I say, it's not it's something we're always looking to find ways to improve them, and it's something where if you read over the release notes, and many times we have been able to make improvements. And we also do want to know, where hirelings perhaps differ in behavior from what your expectations are of them, because knowing your expectations of what you'd like to see the hirelings do can be really valuable information to us. So keep it up. Keep up with the comments. Alright, let me see if I can get my audio working here. Why am I not seeing audio? Playback.
Sometimes you have to change the audio output, input, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to do that recently before the last DDO Splat.
Okay, I think I just have it. I think what it's happening is Skype is sort of auto lowering the volume, and because the volume is set low, yeah, there we go. Because the volume is set fairly low, in general, that additional bump just sort of put it too low. So there we go. All right, I'm hearing a little sound now.
So one question that I've seen a few folks send me over the years is, why aren't hirelings allowed in raids and raid areas? Or if you
That's
maybe
a
want to
very
speak to
interesting
that.
question. At the time that we debuted Hirelings, it was largely a community response that people were concerned that, some people who are particularly skilled at raids, for example, might simply just sort of solo raids with a bunch of hirelings. And generally, there are also concerns like, well, we only have 12 spots. I don't really want someone else bringing in their hireling because I don't know if they're going to be any good or not, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing. So really the decision was just, hey, raids are meant to be exceptional content. And in many ways, that's the kind of content that we would, having people behind the keyboards is really what it's designed for. But there's been some really interesting discussions on the forums recently about, well, is that still the case? Do we still need to do that? Maybe we don't need to do that anymore. Maybe we could allow hirelings into raids. And that's really just kind of sort of a personal opinion there. I don't know what your opinion is personally on it, but it's something we'd be open to hearing feedback on. But otherwise, I don't think we have any immediate plans to say change how we do that. So.
I think it's always kind of a shame when you use a hireling to take the place of a player.
Dang.
Woohoo! Talking too much, not fighting.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Alright, so in this case, I want her to stay over here. So I'm going to say, come to me, stand your ground, and then heal me, or res me.
She runs straight into the fight to throw the res.
Yep. Let's see if I can have her target you next.
Maybe. Warlock's running away with my stone.
Alright, I'm going to set her to defend. I'm going to tell her to stand her ground over there. And we should be... I'm going to try to take on... What's his name?
As far as, hirelings and raids, going back to what you were asking earlier, it's kind of a. I mean, I don't ever want to see people favoring hirelings over real players because I think it's better. I like that it's a community game, and I think having people in the group is preferable. I don't really have anything against it, against having hirelings. If that's what people want to do. Other than as a raid leader, there's a lot of content and a lot of raids where having someone uncontrollable is troublesome.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if you think, there's a lot of scenarios in raids where there are certain roles or duties that need to be filled, and you would want to be careful that you didn't, make that more difficult than not by allowing hirelings in. But I think I think a lot of times when people are talking about this, though, they're like, hey, I just kind of want some backup healing. Or maybe I need a trap for this one section. Or, I need someone who's got at least X intelligence to use a lever, something like that. And in that case, hirelings might actually be quite useful. So.
Well, there's certain raids and raid areas that aren't as concerning, like Subterrane or Tempest Spine, stuff like that. So there's places that are raid areas, and then there are raids.
Right. So, I mean, long and short of it is, the original answer was because that's what people wanted, and maybe that's not what they want anymore. Like I say, I've been seeing some comments on both sides, really, on the forums in particular. In recent days, I know we've got a thread going on it, so.
I figured I'd bring it up since it was in one of the questions I have in my back pocket. I was going through them today.
Alright, so here's a good time to talk about hirelings and shrines. They are set that they should, and this has changed some over the updates because we've had some difference of opinion from the community in terms of, well, we wanted it this way, let's try it. We tried it, like, that's worse, so let's put it back, that kind of thing. But the way they generally should work is that they're going to try to use a shrine, if they can, if they're out of spell points. Perhaps even in the middle of combat, unless you don't want them to, in which case you can call them over to you, that kind of thing. But in general, they will wait until after combat, if they, in your direction, to tell them to use it. Now, like I say, there are some hirelings that are better at this than others, so it's not necessarily 100% consistent. But in general, that's, they're not supposed to just sort of run off and do a shrine instead of heal you. So if you do run into that behavior, let us know. And I guess this is actually a good time to talk about this a little bit as well, which is that, particularly when it comes to hireling bugs, it's really useful to know what kind of hireling you have, what the content is, what a location might be in particular. If you find them just like consistently going into a trap, like I know there was a post on DDO Gamer this week where they were talking about there's some trap in what are the Tomb of the Unhallowed, was it? I think
so.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah, and he was just talking about how the hireling's just, it's like, chocolate and peanut butter. and so knowing specific areas in that where to look at is useful information to us. And that can be done by going to ddobugs.turbine.com. Like I say, make sure to give us the name of the hireling, who, your class, level, makeup, that kind of thing. And if it's a location-specific thing, like the guy gets stuck in a trap, or he won't move, or whatever, that's something that would be useful for us to know. Alright, so CDL, set to attack, and is attacking. Seems doing alright. Let's see if I can trigger her. cast displacement on herself. That'll help.
She
Don't
can
forget
cast
to do that.
displacement on herself?
Yeah.
That's kind of an odd one.
Yeah, it's from the Dragon Mark, actually.
If you look around in some dimension with Hirelings, is some of them have fairly useful and abilities. When you buy one, it usually tells you what their active abilities are.
Yes, that's true.
And some things that people often look for are, say, Death Ward or Resurrection.
Dimension Door.
Dimension Door is a
Haste.
popular one, although it's fairly rare.
It doesn't matter how rare it is, as long as one of them's got it.
Actually, don't usually find people looking for haste specifically, since a lot of people just use pots for that.
That's true. I mean, particularly
general
at
experience.
there's some wizard at a lower level that I know I myself have gotten some nice haste use out of. That's why I bring it up. Because I was like on a fighter here at low level, you know, I'm not going to be chucking pots every 30 seconds, you know, that kind of thing. So, could be kind of useful. But you're right, in general you'll see things like Dimension Door, Freedom of Movement, you know, Dancing Ball, Irresistible Dance, maybe, you know, specific things like that. Are you the one that's healing me, or is that Luna healing me?
A little of both, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Luna's been healing me as well.
Okay.
If it feels like the heal is more timely in saving you from death, it's probably me.
Yeah.
If it's not, if it's kind of less concerning, it's probably the Hireling.
I didn't maybe pick the best Hireling for this, to be honest, because Luna doesn't really have... All she's got in her hotbar is Mass Heal, which has a slow casting time. I usually like to get Hirelings that have a fast cast heal, so I can just sort of say, heal me, you know?
They'll use spells that aren't on their list, too.
Right, and we're seeing Luna do exactly that.
But usually their reaction time is a little slower than someone who's really paying attention and doing healing.
Sometimes it's true that there is... I mean, there are bugs with Hirelings as well. One that we hear periodically is Hireling just kind of went brain dead on me after a while. And you'll see that with Iron Defenders and that too, your own Artificer and Druid pets. And generally the way to deal with that is to turn them off, turn them on, bring them to you. Because you're essentially resetting their logic chain when you do that. You know, if you think about how it works behind the scenes, it's like, alright, I need to do this, then I need to do this. Oh, now we just hit the res button, so I need to do this. You know, and depending on where, you know, what you're pushing and all that, like we tend to prioritize res and things. You know, they'll make a decision of what order of operations, and it is possible. There are a few bugs that we need to work on, and we have been working on, which is they'll get a little stuck sometimes. And if that happens to them, the way you can reset that is, like I said, you'll just toggle off and on, stand your ground, bring them to you.
You should have brought a rogue Hireling.
Yeah. Actually, actually we don't have...
Well, Uurlock can do the traps, but you can
Yeah.
doing that.
I found out something the other day, which I guess a lot of people knew, but I guess I really hadn't thought about it, which is that you can use Mordecannons on these spell traps.
Yeah, you can use differing, anything like dispels magic kind of stuff.
Alright, this could be pretty tough. Let's set this up a little bit, huh? So let's try to attack over here. I'm going to set both these Hirelings back behind the wall, so to speak. I'm going to put them on stand your ground. Oops, sorry for double talking there. I'm going to set the Hireling on passive, and I'm going to set the fighter on defend as well. Gotta make sure that fighter doesn't learn displace. And yeah, I guess that's about all we really probably need, huh?
I think Warlock is fetching.
Yep. So the behavior I'm expecting to see is these guys not running into the main room ahead of us to kill things. Even if you'll notice, even here, they're not going after Uurlock. Although it's possible that if Uurlock suddenly took a huge dip in hit points, that Luna or someone
Luna.
might be. Yeah, exactly. And notice Uurlock is now taking damage. So her logic is saying, okay, she's dying, or Uurlock's dying. He is in my 30-foot range, my stand your ground range. He is not farther than, I am not farther along than he is. And so I'm going to go over there and help him. So essentially that should be working as intended, basically.
You will do that this time. Here it comes.
That's actually a good point, Uurlock. I'm using voice chat for a second. If you have Skype, let me know, and I'll PM you on that. We can just get you on Skype here.
I don't have it up yet.
I'm using Skype just because Patrick and I both have it. We both know each other's Skype names because of DDOcast, and it just sounds a little better. So
Good audio quality.
yeah. So you'll see Luna is not running forward. She is still, though I noticed, using her Wand of Nimbus of Light, even though I have it set to off. So, there's one example of something that could be adjusted. Oh no! Somehow it got resaved there. Interesting. Huh, okay, looks like maybe we have a bug there that I'm going to have to look at. So the UI decision making is getting reset. Alright, let me take a look at chat here real quick before we move along.
Yes, Moosey, my guild name is Lava Divers.
I don't know why I'm killing spiders. Why not? Alright, my main problem with Hirelings, Mesramask, is that sometimes, either after being summoned or just sometimes random, they just stop doing anything. They follow but won't attack, heal, or even use a lever when ordered to. Like I was saying just a little bit ago, it's usually a problem with their logic getting hung up somewhere, and the best way to deal with that is to reset that logic by, toggling stand your ground on and off and calling them to you. As a joke, Mesramask, you should create a purposefully dumb hireling. I think we did. I think she's called Larafay. Although she's not actually that dumb, she just likes her fire spells.
She's perhaps a little more overzealous with certain spells than
She's
others.
Excited. Excited to be helping. Alright, now you see these are toggled off stand your ground now, so they're coming with me to join, and I'm gonna die.
Not yet, you're not. So we should mention too, there's some fairly oddball uses of hirelings that people use more than just actually questing. I know Chai on a DDOcast debate episode mentioned with Laura Faye, the Mad Bomber being particularly useful in challenges.
Ooh, I bet.
There's also things like, say, you want to, if you're using bravery streaks, what you can do is, say you don't want to run a quest on Elite, you don't want to break your bravery streak. If you have a hireling that you can bring in the party that's over level of that, it will prevent you from having bravery streak bonuses and stuff like that. Did that make sense?
Not entirely. Could you sort of repeat the core of that question?
So if you want to run, say, a proper one would be running with devils.
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want to lose your bravery streak. You want to have, but you don't want to run an elite either. If you bring in a hireling that is level 19 or 20 into the quest, it will negate the bravery streak bonus, both for purposes of getting more XP and as well as not letting you lose your bravery streak either.
Okay. All right.
It's one of the helpful uses of
Let's see here.
Panther. Did we get Uurlock in here?
I think so.
Does
At least we got
Mike
a call out to him.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey, how's it going?
There we go.
Oh, good. I'm glad we were able to get you on. How you doing, Uurlock?
Oh, it's a lovely day in the neighborhood. Got some rain. Love that.
Nice.
We can play with Earth Elementals. We can jump across.
Yeah.
It's like we're playing with Elementals.
Whatever. Yeah. Can I be honest? We ran this. Did we run this on the live stream just recently? And I had forgotten there even were elementals down here. Guess it goes to show how often I do that, huh?
Well, Earth Shadow Warhammer kind of makes some short notice or short work of them, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Entomix is asking in the chat if you can summon hirelings that are over your level, and the answer is yes, but they have to be either gold seals or they have to be the I think gold seals will do it,
Yeah,
or they
gold
have to be
seals,
like
yeah.
the figurines.
Right.
You can summon those that are over level as well.
Yeah, and I believe it's up to 2 levels over your current level, and that won't impact, as you were just sort of saying there, that won't impact things like XP loss, things like that.
Well, it will impact it. It's just you may intentionally want it to.
Yeah.
Plus, Gold Seal, if I understand it right, Gold Seal, and those are including the Onyx Panther and the Owlbears, do not affect dungeon scaling as much as regular hirelings do.
I don't actually think that's true. I think hirelings in general do not impact dungeon scaling as much as real people. They are set to sort of count as they're lesser folk, shall we say. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying, they don't count quite as much.
Well, myth debunked. I like that. We'll start calling this Mythbusters, you know?
Luna. I'll see Luna's just sitting there trying to run after someone who took damage.
Probably me running through a trap.
Yep. Yeah, are we just running through that? No. There we go.
I kind of wasn't looking and was running and ran into it and then ran through
Okay.
it.
And so in that case, the hireling is like, oh, you're taking damage, I need to save you, and did indeed run through the trap there. And that's an example, I think, of something that the various AI sort of devs over the years have had to sort of deal with. It's, okay, so now you've got that situation, what should the hireling do? And in some cases, you'll hear people who would say, just never run through the trap, ever. And then there's other people who would say, like, well, they should heal me rather than not. And so which of those two do you do? Automatically by default. You know what I mean? And that's a more extreme example, I think, than perhaps some of the other sort of situations that come up in the game. But I think it's a good example of the kind of AI thinking that the various developers over the years have had to contend with.
Well, there is a possibility. It's a little bit more complicated, but it senses the trap, knows the trap is between you and the person that's healed. Too bad it can just pop over it. Complicated.
Right, and that actually does happen. I mean, but that would involve a little bit more manual control, right? Because you'll set them to stand your ground, don't do anything. I'm going to go on the other side of the trap, and then when I get far enough, I'll call you to me, and you'll be fine. And that's really,
Yep.
but that's on the player really to do rather than to sort of do it by default.
Talking about some of the improvements they made, it's
Yeah.
actually kind of one of them, because it used to be that when you said come to me, they would, if they thought they could, they would actually run to you. They wouldn't just
Absolutely.
teleport to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which included running through traps.
I think if I could bring, I don't know, maybe Varg Wheeler or someone over here and said, Hirelings, traps, huh? And he'd be like, no! Because,
Away.
I think it's not always the easiest job in the world to make that do what you want. But
Well, anytime you're programming something to approximate people thinking,
Right.
it's kind of a trick.
And then there is a balance thing as well. You want them to be strong, but you don't want them to be too strong. You don't want to be in a situation where you just sort of pike your way through a quest and have all the hirelings do it. So, not that has ever really been.
Isn't that what my guildmates are for?
Right. Not that that's ever been a real huge problem, but, I'm just saying, Yeah. Although, I don't know, I was actually... Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud. The other day we ran Cobalt Assault. We sure were getting a lot of remnants from there.
And we're at level. I mean, it's not like we're over leveled. We're running elite.
Yeah.
And I've only seen maybe 3 or 4 drops. One off camera when I went looking for a rare.
Yeah.
The remnant drops are fairly consistent. We haven't had a whole lot of champions either.
True.
Yeah.
Except for the spiders.
Yeah, there were a couple in the spiders, but that was most of the. Even then, we had a large spawn of spiders and dretches and stuff at that named. Well, I think I only saw 2, maybe 3. So.
Yep. But I just realized though. It wasn't until that run that I was like, Cobalt Assault, huh? I guess I better start running that one a little more.
Yeah, for the spell wards, something that someone said to me was, if it says if it's blocked, you're too close. Which is, I've never had that experience before, but it works.
So something to mention about hirelings too is if they die in your party, they do impact your survival bonus, but only half as much as another player.
That's true. That's true. Yep. But if you have me in your party, odds are your survival bonus isn't going to last anyway. So, I'm just saying. That's actually not terrible. Holy repeating like crossbow with Ghostbane?
Yeah,
That's actually nice.
Yeah.
People were commenting on the random loot, and I'm like, I'm seeing some pretty good pieces. You're just jaded.
All right, this could be fun. All right, so what should we do here at this point? I'm gonna have
kill them all.
Yep, Sadiel's gonna do displacement again, and maybe I'll try to have Luna do a judgment, even though I've never really actually tried to have him do that.
I'll probably just throw out a blade bearer and he can pick stuff off behind me.
Sounds good.
A fresh breeze blows down from an opening. The leader of the drow turns to confront you.
I don't see any champions, so.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot here.
Some folks have commented that I'm not doing the 10-week challenge today. That's just because, frankly, the last couple of weeks, I like the 10-week challenge a lot. I love it, actually. It's one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. But it's really hard to do, and I'm just trying to think of myself being at level 4 going through the pit today. I'm kind of sick of just watching people watch me die all the time, which these challenges are kind of meant to do, right? They're not supposed to be easy. That's kind of the point. So I thought I'd
you can
play a
die
little more on
twice
my own
without
terms.
losing, right?
Yeah, but I just kind of
Which I
wanted
did.
to play on my own terms. And plus, like I said, we had this hireling question come up on the forums, and I thought, I've been kind of meaning to do a little talk on that. Shed a little more light on what hirelings are and all that sort of thing.
There was something I was going to ask you, and I forgot what it was. Oh well. Actually, so on the topic of that challenge, which is quite fun, I made it. I was doing pretty good on small problem, and then right at the spot where you get 2 fire elementals spawning to attack him. Yeah, they're both champions.
Yeah.
They smoked him.
Yeah, I was trying the small problem one just on my own this week, and it was generally that fight or towards the end that I would just, at level 4 first life, it just wasn't working so hot. So, But,
Yeah, the pit was. I made it to the pit, but I did die twice, but I did it within range of the shrine.
oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah, but the thing that was giving me the problems was the preachers with their whole monster person. That was pretty problematic.
The reason I never really did the pit is that I never really learned how to do the pit very well. Even though with some things I'm never going to be a pit expert.
Yeah, I think there were kind of 2 things that I ran into. One was that my choice of character was perhaps not the best, because it just takes a while to kill stuff with a bow. And the puzzle room, I didn't remember. It's been long enough that I don't quite remember the puzzles that well. So that took me a little figuring out while I'm kiting and running around and trying to do that.
You know what? I was actually thinking about that on the ride to work this morning. The reason I never learned how to do the pit is a guy named Xylosant. He was an old Arenal, then Sarlona player that I used to run with all the time. And he was a pit expert. Like, I have never seen anyone else be a pit expert. He used to be able to get through the pit, and I've seen him do like a almost, it was like 4-minute run? I want to say 3.5 minutes, but that sounds really crazy to me.
You'd need help to do that, because it'd take you longer than that just to run everywhere.
But it was really, really close to that, and he would solo it. And so after a while, he was just like, "You want to pick completion?" And I would just walk in and he would do it. So I piked my way to the pit for probably the first couple of years that it was out, and I never really learned how to do it. I know it's a secret shame, but it's true.
Even soloing on my monk on elite at epic levels, I think it always took me about a half an hour to do.
Yeah.
Just from the standpoint of running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
I've learned. I know the rooms. I just don't know how to get anywhere. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
When you first come in, jump underneath the ramp that you would take if you went to the right, and then from there on out, you pretty much just go out to the right and go up.
Cool.
I like that.
Or fall down. You either end up above the doors that you need to get to, or you end up at the door.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Nice.
And I've got a on DDOcast. I did a walkthrough a while back. So if you look through the YouTube page, and back episodes, there's one there for the pit.
Yeah, there's some great guides out there for the pit. Really, there are, and I agree. Someone mentions in chat that Lessa and Klinkenbeard's 3D pit map is really useful, and it is. I use it the times I have gone into the pit with the group on my own, or with a group just to run it, and we all need to learn how to do it. That's what I've been doing. Is just basically using the Lessa and Klinkenbeard's pit map. But there are, like I say, there's some really great walkthroughs for it as well. I actually leveled up, so I'm going to do that.
Woohoo!
Rats.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about getting around in the pit is cross, don't cross, cross.
Yeah.
It's mostly up, down, up, down, up, down. And for the most part, you can follow the ramps. It's just getting to the first one that's the tricky part, because you have to be on a specific ramp that you're not on to begin with. But other than that, if you're going down, you can just float. If you're going up, just go to the right, and you'll get there eventually. Just got to find the right crystal.
Just to go off topic for a second, Titan asks in chat, he's under a tornado watch and a severe thunderstorm warning where he lives, which, be safe, by the way. As soon as you see a tornado warning or something, make sure you heed that. But he asks, have you ever been under a tornado warning before? And I thought that was an interesting one to ask the group. Have you guys ever actually experienced that? I've got a heck of a story on that.
Nope. I can only think of. I live in the Northwest, so I can only think of maybe twice that we've even had a tornado in the state that I can remember.
Nice.
So we don't get tornadoes very often.
Well, I'm a Midwest guy, so I've seen many a tornado. But one of the times that is really interesting to me, or one of the craziest times for me, I used to work at a radio station along the Mississippi River in southeastern Minnesota, a little town called Red Wing, if you know where that is. And there was, one of my jobs was to basically run into the station and then do severe weather alerts. This was sort of before all the EAS automatic stuff that you see nowadays. This is back when a DJ would actually rip a sheet of paper off a wall somewhere and then say, the National Weather Service has issued a blah, 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 right? And so I was sitting there on the FM side, which is like a classic rock station, and doing the watch at the time in severe thunderstorm warning. And then, not long after that, I got a call from the sheriff's office, which, periodically they'd be in touch with the radio DJs if they needed to get something specific announced, right? And the cop had a strange tone in his voice right away, and he was like, Jerry, I need you to leave the station now. There is a tornado that is about a quarter mile away headed your direction.
Yeah.
And I was, I'm in the middle of the radio studio, which was windowless, like many of them are. And so I had no idea what was going on outside, other than what I was hearing and reading and all that sort of thing. So I was like, oh, okay. If the sheriff's office calls and tells you to get the heck out of there, you better get the heck out of there, right? So I did that. And on my way out the door, this was an old station where they had a big radio tower outside the main office there. And it was arcing. And it was the only time I've ever seen a radio tower arc. I don't know if you know what that means. But if you think about like the old Frankenstein sort of movie where it's like, it's alive, and the lightning sort of shooting up the metal things, that's what the arcing was. Yeah, I went outside and it was like a black green day, and there was like some kind of static charge, and there was this little arc of electricity that was going between the tower and the ground lines. And it was just like, psh, psh. Man, that was the craziest experience I've ever had. I saw that tornado coming, but it ended up kind of just going back in the clouds, and so it was okay. But a little scary there. I've seen tornadoes too. I've actually seen, when I think about the actual number of tornadoes I've seen, I guess I've probably seen I've seen 3. I saw one from a distance on the road. I saw a small one close up that was coming across a cornfield in southern Minnesota toward our house, but again, it went up in the clouds. And then I saw another one just while heading to severe weather coverage down in southwestern Indiana one year. And that was just, again, from a distance. But I pulled over for that one. So I have seen tornadoes.
We get earthquakes, but not tornadoes.
Yep. But
earthquakes are pretty rare.
The reality is tornadoes are not really that rare. And particularly if you live in places like Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, Kansas, Indiana. There are a lot of tornadoes that happen all the time. I mean, it's just part of nature. But what usually happens with the tornadoes is they'll maybe start to funnel, and then they'll just disappear. They'll be gone. Most of the time they don't actually touch the ground and cause a lot of damage. But it can happen, But, yeah. So the answer is yes. I've never actually been impacted personally by a tornado in terms of property damage or anything, though, thankfully. I have unfortunately seen a lot. As a reporter, I used to cover Midwestern severe weather quite a bit, and there was a lot of that, so.
The last tornado I saw was in the Bahamas. We were in dry dock. It was the first tornado the Bahamas had had in 106 years. Came about a half a mile away from the ship. We're sitting up deck 13 having a crew party. It was rain just sideways. You have to understand the crew mentality. Crew mentality is, okay, keep on doing what we're doing.
Yeah. All right. Impossible demands. We'll see if keeping a hireling alive in here is one of them.
Let's see, impossible demands. Possible demands. What could we demand of Jerry that would be impossible? So many things.
Yes, indeed. Fix lag right now.
Too easy.
Okay. I will actually say on that front, we we are continuing to work on it, and we've been making some progress recently. Hopefully, and we did some maintenance work this past Wednesday, along with our patch, which was aimed at basically we try to find sources that are worth targeting, and then target them, and cross that off the list, and then try to find the next one. And that's sort of how it works in actual sort of lag fighting in an MMO. And one of the things we did this week was some server maintenance. Besides, hopefully, putting the issues with Galanda behind us and everything, hopefully we've improved things a little bit. We basically just did some kind of hardware maintenance work on it that needed to be done.
Poor Galanda.
Yeah. But it wasn't just Galanda, though. It's actually, we did this on all the servers, even though Galanda was the only one that was having a problem with it. Actually, that's not entirely true. I believe there was one other server that was having a similar thing.
She seems bugged.
Yeah, she does seem.
There it goes.
There we go.
She's just stuck in the door.
Yeah.
Hit her so hard, she ended up going through the door.
I think I saw that in a Kung Fu movie somewhere.
Kung Pao Enter the Fist? Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking Enter the Ninja. Have you ever seen Enter the Ninja? It's a really
Yeah.
terrible 80s movie. And there's this one scene where the ninja knocks some guy into a wall, and the wall opens up into it, like he knocks into the wall, and then it's a door-shaped hole in the wall. It's pretty awesome. Oh, I love bad movies.
Are we doing this the fast way or the complete way?
Oh, I don't really care. Like I say, I'm just bumming around. We can do this the fast way if we want.
Works for me.
Yeah.
I will sacrifice every last hostage.
Let's see how well we can not die. But look like we're gonna die. Hey, flesh to stone. That'll help. I don't think I've ever been flesh to stone in here before.
Ouch.
Hopefully that wasn't Colors of the Queen rocking.
There is a wizard in there.
Alright, I'm coming back out if I can survive this.
Oops.
Get smacked.
I'm bringing the hirelings out with me. Oh. I really need to get some of those new healing potions on this guy.
You just need to stay away from that champion.
Yeah, or kill him.
Again with the flesh to stone.
Champion's down. I'll go
Yeah,
after the
me
wizard.
too.
Yeah, kill the wizard.
Yep.
He was enjoying himself a little too much there with the stone.
Yeah.
Alright. What? Can't believe that wizard saved my trip.
also have to remember we are kind of under level, so deaths are to be expected on Epic Elite.
And
That's just a general policy as far as I'm concerned. If you get through Epic Elite, it's a success, even if there's a few deaths. I'm one of those guys, I guess. Yeah.
Everyone used to say otherwise, but now with champions. 2 smoldering piles of corpses on the ground.
I'm true neutral. They can die.
What is he? Chaotic neutral, that's right. No, chaotic good.
Every man for himself.
Yeah, greater good, you know? So 1 or 2 deaths are sometimes occasionally acceptable.
Well, that's good. You know, I mean, clearly, this needs to probably not be said, but I've never been too stressed out about dying in DDO.
Oh, I don't even want to know the count I'm up to.
Yeah.
A barbarian who's afraid. That's strong.
Yeah, you know, I have to admit, with all the barbarian changes, I have considered TRing Beefheart here into a barbarian just because of the self-healing. It makes such a difference. You know?
It is. The 2-weapon fighting style is great, but start using, what was it? Using the Brigand's Small Blade for extra double strike, and that helps a lot, even though I was using reward for a while.
Take that sacrificial dagger in case I ever make a rogue, maybe.
She's gonna. You don't need to rest.
All right, so I mean, overall, we saw no hireling deaths this quest. They actually
Oh
survived.
yeah, no, the fighter was dead.
Yeah, the fighter was dead. How come that didn't show up? Interesting.
And
it didn't
he-
show up in the.
Well, they
quest log.
don't. The if you look at your quest log, they override the hireling deaths if anyone in the party dies,
Oh,
or the
okay,
actual players
okay.
die.
There you go.
So they kind of ignore that fact.
But the thing is like Beefheart is a fighter. He kind of needs to stay a fighter. I don't know how comfortable I am changing him into barbarian. If anything, barbarian would fit for him. But I just don't know that I can actually do it.
That's why you just pull another character that's a barbarian.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but I want to get this guy up. You know, I left him parked for so long. It's nice to play him again.
I feel her absence every day.
So Jerry, I gotta head out here, but
Okay.
before I go and before you sign off,
Yeah, right.
since no one asked it in chat, can you give us a sneak peek on the situation with Warlocks?
Yeah.
The next update.
Yeah, the Warlocks are currently in front of the Players' Council from a sort of design state. They're providing feedback on all 3 enhancement trees right now, and Warlock in general, frankly, along with the next set of loot. And we're hoping to get a first preview of Warlock out to Lamania soon, targeting middle-ish of the month. You know, might be a little after middle, because it kind of depends on how quickly we can get in a state where it's ready for feedback, and then get a build together and get it through QA and staged and all the other stuff that goes into, you know, putting things on Lamania. But we can expect sometime probably a little bit after the direct middle of the month for hopefully our first Lamania preview of Warlock.
And then the follow-up question to that is if I'm thinking about doing a Warlock, what kind of gear should I start saving? Can you give us a hint on that one?
Charisma?
That's kind of a trick question. Whatever I say might be overinterpreted. I better keep my mouth shut there. I
That's
don't
fair.
know. Yeah.
Figured I'd try and go for it.
I would say, under general conditions, probably good robes, good casting things. If you plan to sort of utilize them as a ranged build as well, you're going to want ranged alacrity. I don't know. It's kind of hard, kind of a little early to say. But what I would recommend you do, Patrick, full plate, underwater action, and lots of swim. That's what I'd recommend.
So what I got from that is Warlocks will come with enhancements that let you have things like fins and gills on your character.
Nice. Awesome. Yep. No, but it should be really cool. And like I say, we're really at that stage right now. Actually, as a matter of fact, I just saw today, they're working pretty heavy on animations for Warlock, because you don't just need to, say, have the Eldritch Blast for a pure class Warlock. You also need to have it for every race in the game, every iconic, every possible multi-class you can do, So there's a lot of animations work that actually goes in. Besides, why don't you just make an Eldritch Blast animation? It's like you're making it like 30, 40 times. So they're in the middle of doing that right now. And I saw actually my first today. I actually just saw my first chain of a Warlock animation. It's looking pretty hot. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on. I gotta run and go meet my folks and stuff for the rest of the day.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks very much. And I'm going to be wrapping up the stream here in just a few minutes myself. So I suppose I should get my quest. So let's see what else I could mention. We do have just you can take off, Patrick, if you need to. That's no problem. Appreciate you joining me. I'm just going to head to our store sales page real quick to talk a little bit more about that determine your discount. Basically, the way determine your discount works, first off, I should mention it's through the weekend, so through the 10th, through Sunday. You can save up to 30% on your entire cart purchase in the DDO store. So basically, load in whatever you want to buy, and then apply the coupon code to it. It's 10% if you spend $1,000, 20% for $2,000, 30% for $3,000, and the coupon codes are DYD10, DYD20, and DYD30. Almost as if it's determine your discount 10, 20, or 30, with similar corresponding turbine point spend to match, and a corresponding benefit. So 10%, 20%, 30%. So not a bad deal, and it goes through Monday. And as we stated in the live stream here, that does stack, so to speak, with any other discounts that are going on in your card. So kind of a nice thing to look forward to. Otherwise, we have a plus 30% Caneth Crafting XP boost running through the weekend, so that's a good way to, if you are going to be doing some Caneth Crafting, is a great weekend to do that. We had our patch this week. You can find the patch notes online. I guess that's just about it. We talked about upcoming plans for Lamania and stuff too. So, and we'll have maybe some more stuff to talk about a little bit next week. Also, if you wanted to, take a look at our YouTube page. That's youtube.com Dungeons and Dragons. I did something this week where I created playlists for all of the DDO stream shows, and then created separate playlists for things like trailers, videos, dev interviews, things like that, so that you can kind of more fine-tune your subscription on YouTube. Some folks want everything. And if that's you, go to youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons and just hit that subscribe button. All of our videos will get in your feed. But if you want to sort of dig down to a specific show you like, or maybe you aren't so much interested in the live stream archives, but you want to see the new dev chats, we have a separate playlist, so all you have to do is subscribe to that playlist, and every one of those things will come in. Or maybe you just want to subscribe to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream, or Damsels at DDO, or something like that. And you can do that with a separate playlist now as well. So youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons for that. And Oh, we also have a new Warlock section of the forums. I created that up today as well. So if you want to speculate a bit about the Warlock, I'd be happy to have you there as well. That's going to do it with Fridays at 4. Thank you very much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Don't forget, tonight at 8 p.m., we have got Pikers Anonymous. It'll be our second episode with CSI Stormbreach and Shindoku 8. Also, Saturday, 9 p.m. is the Moosey and Bew Show. Bonnie Bew and Moosey Pants will be streaming DDO and having fun. It was a crazy time last week. Should be a good time this week as well. And then sometimes Titan is able to stream on Sundays at 5 p.m. as well. So hope you can check that stuff out. And if we don't see you till next week, we'll see you next week. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Have a good day.